There's a rule we don't write down. No ranger patrols this park alone.
Not after midnight.
Unit requesting assistance.
I shouldn't be alone.
I need to say this slowly, because once it's said out loud, it doesn't go back. I was a ranger at a national park. That does not allow solo patrols. Not officially. Not on paper. But everyone who works there knows the rule. You never patrol alone. Not after dusk. Not before dawn. Not even for something small. Especially not for something small. They don't explain that part during training. They say it like advice. Like a suggestion. Like something you can ignore. If you're experienced enough. I wasn't experienced enough. The first time I heard the rule, we were standing near the duty board. Clipboards. Coffee stains. Weather alerts curling at the edges. My supervisor tapped the board with a pen. Never go out alone, he said. No matter what the radio tells you. Then he walked away. No follow-up. No explanation. That should have bothered me more. That night, I was on desk duty. Late shift. Paperwork. Incident logs. Visitor reports nobody reads twice. The ranger station felt hollow. The kind of building. That sounds different after midnight. Every noise travels farther. The fluorescent lights hummed. Then flickered. Then steadied again. I remember thinking, they always flicker at the wrong moments. Outside, the forest pressed up against the windows. No wind. No insects. No movement. The dark wasn't empty. It was waiting. The radio sat on the desk. Fully charged. Perfectly functional. Silent. I kept glancing at it. Not because I expected a call. Because I expected the silence to break. At 11:42 p.m. The radio crackled. Just once. Static. Then nothing. I didn't move. I waited. 10 seconds. 20. I remember counting. Because counting gives you something to hold. Then a voice pushed through the static. Low. Uneven. Unit, need assistance. The signal was weak. Too weak. I leaned closer to the radio. Repeat, I said. My voice sounded loud in the room. Too loud. No response. Just static. My hand hovered over the radio button. My other hand rested on the desk keys. Training says you respond. The unwritten rule says you wait. I checked the logbook. No units were assigned solo patrols. No units were assigned patrols at all. Everyone was accounted for. The radio crackled again. This time, there was breathing. Slow. Wet. Like someone had been running. Or dragging something heavy. through underbrush. Then the transmission cut out. Silence rushed back in. So fast it felt physical. I told myself it was interference. A dead zone. A repeater glitch. Mountain terrain does strange things to signals. That's what you tell yourself when standing up feels dangerous. Minutes passed. I didn't check the time. Then the station door shifted. Not a knock. Just pressure. Like someone leaning against it to see if it would move. I didn't look. I didn't speak. The radio crackled one last time. Same voice. Clearer now. Closer. I shouldn't be alone. That was when I understood why the rule exists and why nobody explains it. They paired me up after that night. No meeting. No explanation. My name was just written next to another one. On the duty board. Ranger Ellis. I'd seen him before. Everyone had. He'd been there longer than most. Quiet. Methodical. The kind of ranger who never rushed. And never asked unnecessary questions. When I met him in the equipment room, he didn't shake my hand. He just checked my flashlight. Clicked it on. Clicked it off. Then he checked his own. Stick close, he said. Not unkindly. Just factual. Our patrol started at 1:10 a.m. Routine loop. Service road. Closed trailhead. Fence line. Nothing unusual on paper. The moment we stepped past the station lights, sound disappeared. Not faded. Vanished. Our boots didn't echo. They sank into the dirt, like the ground was absorbing them. Ellis walked a few steps ahead of me. Not far enough to lose sight of. Not close enough to touch. That distance felt intentional. The forest was thick. Trees packed tight. Branches overlapping. The sky barely visible through them. My radio felt heavier than usual. Like it was pulling at my shoulder. Every few minutes, Ellis stopped. No signal. No warning. Just a raised hand. We'd stand there, listening. I tried to identify sounds. Wind. Leaves. Animals. There was nothing. The silence wasn't empty. It felt occupied. After the third stop, I leaned closer and whispered, "What are we listening for?" Ellis didn't answer. He waited another 10 seconds. Then another 10. Then he started walking again. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Behind us. Soft. Measured. Matching our pace. I slowed. The footsteps slowed. I stopped. They stopped. I turned my head slightly and swept my flashlight across the trail. Trees. Fog. Nothing else. The sound stayed. Ellis slowed down. He didn't turn around. "Don't acknowledge it," he said quietly. My throat tightened. The footsteps shifted. Closer now. Not rushing. just adjusting. Like whoever or whatever was behind us was learning. My radio crackled. A thin layer of static. Ellis reached out without looking and turned it off. "You don't answer after midnight," he said. The trail narrowed. Brush pressed against my arms. The air felt thick, heavy on my chest, like pressure before a storm. The footsteps multiplied. One set behind us, another to our left, then another to the right. They weren't circling. They were pacing. I could hear breathing now. Slow. Controlled. Curious. Ellis stopped again. So did the footsteps. All at once. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. "Ellis," I whispered. He raised a finger. "Don't give it shape," he murmured. Leaves shifted ahead of us. Not footsteps. Something lower. Dragging. Ellis finally turned his head toward me. His face looked pale. In the edge of the flashlight beam. "They don't like pears," he said. My mouth went dry. "What do they like?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. The radio on my shoulder burst to life. A scream tore through the static. Not loud. Not distant. Immediate. Like it came from inside my head. I flinched. Ellis didn't. He grabbed my arm. Hard. And pulled me backward. We walked back the way we came. Slow. Deliberate. Never turning around. The footsteps followed. Right up to the edge of the road. Then stopped. Exactly where the trees ended. And the pavement began. Ellis let go of my arm. Neither of us spoke. Until the station lights came back into view. That was the night I learned something else. The rule isn't about safety. It's about boundaries. And whatever lives past them knows exactly where they are. They said he resigned. That was the word used in the report. Resigned. Clean. Simple. No incident code. No investigation tag. Just a name crossed out on the roster. Ranger Cole. 3 years in the park. No disciplinary notes. No complaints. The kind of ranger supervisors like. Because they don't create paperwork. Ellis didn't believe the report. Neither did anyone who worked nights. Because Cole didn't talk about leaving. He talked about routes. About weather patterns. Radio dead zones. Strange sounds that repeated too perfectly. The last night Cole was seen. He was on a paired patrol. Standard procedure. 2 rangers went out. Only one came back. The official explanation blamed disorientation. Panic. Poor visibility. The unofficial response was quieter. That section of trail disappeared from assignments. No memo. No announcement. It just stopped being mentioned. Until Ellis and I were assigned to it. Daylight check only, the supervisor said. Just routine. Daylight doesn't mean safe. It just means visible. The trail entrance looked normal. Too normal. Sunlight filtered through the trees. But it didn't reach the ground evenly. Some places stayed dark. No matter how long we stood there. Ellis walked slower than usual. His hand never left his radio. About a quarter mile in, he stopped. There, he said. A footprint. Pressed deep into the dirt. Fresh. Too fresh. Ellis crouched beside it. Measured it with his eyes. It's not his, he said. Cole's boot size was logged. So was mine. So was Ellis's. This print matched none of them. My radio crackled. Low. Faint. Almost polite. I lifted my hand toward it. Without realizing I was moving. Ellis shook his head once. The voice came through anyway. Calm. Familiar. Did you bring someone with you this time? My stomach dropped. That's Cole, I whispered. Ellis turned my radio off. Slowly. That's not how he talked, he said. We continued down the trail. The forest grew denser. Branches bent inward. Like they were listening. Then we saw it. A ranger hat. Standard issue. Placed neatly on a flat rock. Beside the trail. Not crushed. Not torn. Left. Ellis picked it up. Checked the inside. Cole's name. Stitched in faded thread. The air shifted. Not wind. Pressure. Like something had noticed us noticing it. My radio crackled again. Ellis didn't turn it off this time. Breathing came through. Slow. Steady. Content. Then footsteps. 3 sets. One ahead of us. One behind. One to the side. Ellis grabbed my sleeve. Hard. Don't let them space us, he whispered. The footsteps stopped. All of them. At once. The silence pressed in. Until my ears rang. Then the voice returned. Closer. Not from the radio. From everywhere. You were safer when you were alone. That didn't make sense. Ellis pulled me backward. We didn't run. We backed away. Step by step. Branches cracked behind us. Something moved. Just out of sight. Then it laughed. Soft. Almost embarrassed. We broke into a run. When the trees finally thinned, we didn't stop. Until the station roof was visible. Ellis locked the door behind us. Sat down hard. They learn, he said. They changed the pattern. I wrote the incident report. It was never filed. Cole's had stayed in lost and found. No one ever claimed it. And the trail? It's still on the map. But no one walks it. Not even in daylight. Ellis transferred out a few weeks later. No farewell. No announcement. His locker was emptied overnight. The nameplate gone. Like he'd never been there at all. I stayed. That part still doesn't make sense to me. After everything, I stayed. The rule never changed. 2 rangers minimum. No exceptions. Not for noises. Not for lights. Not for voices on the radio. Especially not for voices. I was back on night desk duty. When it happened again. Same station. Same chair. Same hum of fluorescent lights. The clock on the wall ticked louder than it should have. Outside, the forest waited. The radio crackled. Not sharp. Not urgent. Careful. Unit requesting assistance. I froze. Because the voice was mine. Not live. Recorded. Slightly distorted. Like it had been played too many times. I didn't touch the radio. I didn't breathe. The transmission repeated. Exact same pacing. Exact same inflection. A loop. Outside. I heard footsteps. Just one set. Slow. Stopping directly in front of the station door. I stayed seated. The radio crackled again. Different voice this time. Lower. Calmer. Almost friendly. You can come alone now. The door handle turned. Not forced. Tested. Released. Turned again. I focused on the desk. On the grain of the wood. On the weight of the keys in my pocket. The footsteps multiplied. One outside the door. Another somewhere near the windows. Another moving along the wall. I understood then. The rule was never about protection. It was about math. Balance. 2 in. 2 out. Pairs keep the count even. Someone alone. Creates an opening. The radio hissed. A whisper slipped through. No one will know. I didn't answer. I didn't move. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. Eventually, the footsteps faded. The radio went quiet. The forest exhaled. I was still there. And that's the only reason. This is still a story. And not a report. If you ever visit a national park and notice rangers refusing to patrol alone, if you hear radios crackle after midnight with no one on the channel, remember this. Some rules exist because something else is listening. For more stories rangers aren't supposed to tell, subscribe to Park Ranger Confidential.